101 on Mother's Day. We'll be right back.
Hey, they really had no warning.
Technology has definitely changed a lot, but as we saw 25 years ago with Gerald and as we saw earlier in April, yes, we can't avoid tornadoes. We can just do our best to try to forecast them. I want to let you know it is a very low-end threat, but tomorrow is a weather alert day north and east of Austin. There is a 2% risk of tornadoes. Hail, as well as high winds in yellow, those are 15% chances. Those are the highest probabilities for what we could be dealing with tomorrow. But I am hoisting a weather alert. The farther north you are and northeast you are, the more likely you are to unfortunately have to wrestle with some severe thunderstorms. Right now, all is quiet through the Austin area. We've been lucky. 92 degrees our high today, 79 right now. Tornado watch is still in effect to our north in Oklahoma and northwest Texas. A severe thunderstorm watch has been put into effect for our neighbors down south in San Antonio. All right, so here's where we stand. There are nasty storms that just dropped ping pong ball sized hail on Uvalde. That storm heading east toward Hondo, and if it holds together, which I'm expecting it will, folks in Bexar County and San Antonio will deal the brunt of that. At the same time, I think we'll be pretty quiet until around daybreak tomorrow here. A big tornado in Lockett caused damage. A big tornado in Seminole, Oklahoma caused damage. Here's what could happen with that cell making its way toward San Antonio. By about midnight, pushing across the north side of San Antonio, we could see some storms develop behind it, rolling right up I-35 as we head through the pre-dawn hours and on toward around 6 or so in the morning. This is not our main threat. This potent low pressure center pushes to the east tomorrow, and by tomorrow afternoon, a cold front starts to make its way in. We have a 1 threat out of 5 for Austin, a level 2 out of 5 threat for Round Rock, a level 3 threat to our north into Bell County and northern sections of Milam County. So high temperature in the mid 80s. Plan on having that CBS Austin weather app handy just in case. Latest update from computer models, keeping it pretty quiet morning to midday. Storms initially looked like they would be pretty far south by midday. Those have lifted a little farther north in this latest computer model run, keeping the heaviest and strongest of the storms through about 3 o'clock, mainly in our northernmost areas. But by 4 o'clock, some of those make their way a little farther south, moving through around rush hour and beyond for I-35 points east. Everything's done as we head through about 8 p.m. tomorrow. So some of you will get lots of rain. Look at Rockdale, and you may also have to deal with severe thunderstorms. So please stay weather aware. After that, the heat is on. Look at this weekend, 100 Saturday, 101 on Mother's Day. We'll be right back.
Hey, they really had no warning.
Technology has definitely changed a lot, but as we saw 25 years ago with Gerald and as we saw earlier in April, yes, we can't avoid tornadoes. We can just do our best to try to forecast them. I want to let you know it is a very low-end threat, but tomorrow is a weather alert day north and east of Austin. There is a 2% risk of tornadoes. Hail, as well as high winds in yellow, those are 15% chances. Those are the highest probabilities for what we could be dealing with tomorrow. But I am hoisting a weather alert. The farther north you are and northeast you are, the more likely you are to unfortunately have to wrestle with some severe thunderstorms. Right now, all is quiet through the Austin area. We've been lucky. 92 degrees our high today, 79 right now. Tornado watch is still in effect to our north in Oklahoma and northwest Texas. A severe thunderstorm watch has been put into effect for our neighbors down south in San Antonio. All right, so here's where we stand. There are nasty storms that just dropped ping pong ball sized hail on Uvalde. That storm
I never left. I figured I would kind of babysit Radar just to be on the safe side. Hanson, how you doing? Laura, what's up? Lori Lee, checking out in Wimberley. Yes, you got thunder and lightning. There's some strong storms that are into the Blanco area. Keon says models are starting to pull tornadoes let's not lead to or let's not try and lead anyone to panic. Instead, we gotta go through everything methodically and we will take a closer look. Lindsay Wide Awake, hi. Beth, hello to you. Say thunder really loud in Cedar Park. Leanne, Bob. Oh, I see how you are, Bob, going to sleep. Just when we wanted you to join the conversation. No, I'm sure you have plans for tomorrow. Perhaps you will be chasing or tracking or spotting tomorrow. Uh, let's see. Out. Have a good night. Laura says you were going to go to bed, but yeah, Gary, hi to you, and Sylvia, what's going on? So, since we don't have the Skippy Ewok cam, you know what I did? I put the other camera in the studio so you can see it's 12/18/21 here in the CBS Austin studios. I didn't even turn the lights on there, but if you want to see, the inset is our studio that you can check out as we go along through this forecast. Just to let you know, we currently do not have any warnings in place, but there is a severe thunderstorm watch that has been put into place for Blanco as well as for, and here's my tweet deck that I was kind of monitoring the latest on the storms. Oh, and I just realized one thing that I didn't do that I need to make sure I've got up here is standby. The weather graphics. There they are. Okay, so you can monitor what the studio looks like in the dark since I'm the only one here at the same time as you monitor what's going on here elsewhere. For anyone who's watching this after the fact, it's Thursday, 12:19 in the morning, May 5th, 2022. All right, so just to give you the lay of the land, we currently have tornado watches that are in effect through northwest Texas and southern Oklahoma. And of more importance is the fact that Blanco and Hays County, not long ago, just before, like I think right around 11:40, were added to a severe thunderstorm watch, which means conditions favorable for possible severe thunderstorms. Why? Well, let's take a look at radar and I will show you why. I'm sure many of you are hearing why. There's a lot of lightning and a lot of loud thunder as well. Larry, Drake, hey, Ruth checking in. Jules says, is it going to be bad in Del Valley, Texas today and tomorrow? So there is a possibility that we see strong to severe thunderstorms both overnight to a lesser extent, and then tomorrow as we head through Thursday, afternoon to early evening, looking most likely. Sylvia says happy birthday to Leanne. Oh, and I don't know if Andrew Wheeler is on here, but he is having a birthday as well. Chris Bennett checking in from the Pacific Northwest. Hanson says it's getting loud. Eric also tracking some thunder. There's a song about that, right? Okay, so let me go ahead and kind of take off the extra radar and we'll zoom in and show you what things are looking like right now, right here across the CBS Austin area. To be honest with you, most of what's going on is actually just kind of elevated thunderstorm activity. It really doesn't even look that impressive. I will add the lightning so you can see it. Just to note that there's a ton of lightning down toward the Blanco County area, as well as that cell that's right over Bayer County. But what's worth noting is the storms previously were under severe thunderstorm warnings. There was ping pong ball sized hail out in Uvalde earlier. Bracketville had 2-inch diameter hail earlier. And so currently tons of lightning. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and stop it and I'll query the number of lightning strikes. You got me curious. Let's find out how much lightning is in that Blanco County storm. Dun, dun, dun. 139 lightning strikes. That'll keep you awake and keep it loud. Let's see how much is in the San Antonio storm. 484 lightning strikes. Okay, so it is a very electrical storm system. However, the good news is that currently we do not have any warnings in effect. The previous storms, which at one point were showing indications of perhaps hail as large as 2 inches in diameter and winds as high as 70 miles per hour, well, you can kind of see they are shrinking in size and also decreasing in intensity. One thing I will say though is this Blanco County storm, there actually is some spin. It's very broad, but there actually is some spin to that storm just because of how it's kind of like wrapping up as it's moving into Blanco. So let's go ahead and zoom a little bit more closely and take a closer look at that as well. I'll push past that and I'll show you the zoomed in radar in just a moment. This is the trail of hail. You like what I did there? Trail of hail from the storms that started in Mexico, moved across Del Rio, and then made a beeline to the northwest side of San Antonio. Meantime, you probably heard about the tornado that hit Lockett, Texas, a tornado that hit Seminole, Oklahoma, and some other nasty storms as well. Okay, oops. I thought I was going to show you the close-in radar. Let me go back again. I lied to you. We'll take this and I'll just put the radar view on for you. Because I don't know about you, I'm curious to look at some more specifics on the storm that's moving through San Antonio and also the one that's moving through Blanco County as well. So we've already established no warnings. We only have a watch that's in effect. That watch is in effect right now until 2 a.m. for all the areas you see shaded in pink, including Blanco and Hayes counties. All right, so I'm going to remove that, and I'm going to go ahead and stop this, and we're going to zoom in and take a closer look at the storms. And I'm going to have to take one radar layer off, and hopefully we can get a better look. Oh, it's only showing that. I'm just going to have to turn this up a little bit, because what's happening is we're seeing all of the light rain, and that's kind of interfering with being able to see the heavier rainfall. So 12:23 a.m. current radar view. There is a fair amount of lightning, but most of this is just rain that's not really doing all that much. In fact, I'm going to query some of these rain rates. It's more just an electrical storm than it is bringing heavy rain. Like this, 0.07 inches per hour, but still some lightning in downtown Austin as we speak. However, I'm going to take the lightning off, and I'm also query the storm that's moving into Blanco. And that one actually does have some pretty heavy downpours with it. 2.5 inch per hour rainfall rate within that storm. So let's investigate a little more closely. So from Twin Sisters up toward Blanco, not too far away from Candelia, but having just passed through that area, yes, we've got some storms. I'm also going to check and see if we have any potential for hail within these, because earlier there was some hail that was pretty large. So sure enough, as we look at our hail tracker, it's definitely dropping, decreasing in intensity, but there is a little tiny, I mean, it's shrinking by the minute. There's a little tiny indication of hail, and it says hail size out of range, which probably means it's so small it's not even pea-sized. Yep, the larger the hail, the more the higher on the scale, I should say. So when you're talking purples, this is very, very small hail, if at all. Typically when I start to see these, is that cyan, that baby blue color, that's when we start seeing hail that could be big enough to cause damage. So if it's not into that range, which as you can see through the loop, it has really dropped off. I'll zoom out a little bit so you can just see over the last hour how what had been a pretty decent hail core has more or less dissipated. And also the storm down near San Antonio, look at how it decreased as well. Just in an hour's time. Isn't that amazing to go from having significantly large hail to quite a bit lower? Although San Antonio, though not under a warning, is probably experiencing some pea-sized hail, some of those areas in the blue. I'll go ahead and stop that, and I'll query the darker blues anyway. Yes, we know that's Highway 90. Okay, walnut-sized hail possible in San Antonio. So there is still an indication of some decent-sized hail through portions of Bexar County. But for us, it is small, small hail in a very small area of Blanco County, right to the west of Twin Sisters. So we've got the hail core that's shrinking. We have winds that have been gusty, but nothing that's approaching severe weather limits yet. Let me go ahead and just put the actual radar view on here for you one more time. Put it in the current mode, and there we have it. Blanco, Twin Sisters, heavy rain, and yes, the lightning as well. Oh, as far as the motion on these storms, they're pushing off toward the northeast. Let me go ahead and get an actual motion for you. They're pushing off to the northeast about 30 to 40 miles per hour. So let me go ahead and zoom this out a little bit, and I'll do a storm track for you. And then we'll have some towns and some times and all that good stuff. So let's go ahead and take the leading edge of this, push it off toward the northeast, and about, we'll go 33 miles per hour. So obviously many of you are already experiencing rain with thunder, but what's next is potentially some steady, heavier rain. And that's going to be, right now, it's 12:27 at about 12:31, making it to Johnson City at about 12:51 to Pedernales Falls State Park. So any overnight campers probably should be in a nice inside sheltered spot. 12:53 Round Mountain. And that's really the only significant storm that's currently showing up. But we're going to take a look at what's up ahead as we march our way into Thursday as well, as these storms will be moving out. Danny Smith, Laura says you're going to need that Blanco storm to just die. Yeah, it does look like it's going to continue. Even if it's not severe, it's still going to be loud. Jeff hearing thunder in Lockhart. Anything to worry about? Not at this moment. Rihanna says, thanks for keeping you updated. My pleasure. You guys know I'm a night owl. This is kind of par for the course for me. I was like, oh, it's midnight. Even though I'm not home yet, I may as well do my Facebook Live. And so here we are. So obviously the storm down in Bexar County right over San Antonio is significantly stronger than the one that's currently over Blanco County. It does, though, show kind of looks like it's doing a little bit of a northeasterly jaunt. So Jeff was asking about Lockhart. Eventually, that San Antonio storm, if it holds together, is going to make its way into Caldwell County as well. So in general, I expect both the Blanco storm and the San Antonio storm, as they're weakening, to kind of pivot their way in here and bring some pockets of decent rain. Speaking of which, let's take a look at the rainfall so far. I know a lot of you, myself included, have just been salivating at the chance to get some much needed rain. And as you can see, this is over the last 6 hours, and parts of Llano County may have gotten a little tiny bit, maybe about a 1/10 to 2/10 of an inch from Gillespie, Llano, parts of Mason County. But then with this more significant storms, there's been a pretty good solid amount of rain from Del Rio off toward the east. So let's start on the Mexico side of the Rio Grande, where that pixel of orange is showing 3.8 inches of rain. Some of this could also be inflated because there was the hail. 1.8 or 1.9 indicated about halfway between Del Rio and the Uvalde area, about 2.1 a little closer. So generally this whole swath that we're looking at heading towards San Antonio is a nice good drink of water. I am curious also, I'm going to pop on my other computer to look at some of the rainfall totals elsewhere out there. So we will do 6-hour precip again. And oh yeah, not too bad. Okay, so I'm going to flip over to my other computer to show you some of the totals that have come in today already from actual rain gauges, as opposed to me giving you radar estimates. So without further ado, I share with you Tex Mesonet. And on this, it's actually pretty encouraging as far as rainfall in the areas that have the bad drought. Look at this, 1¼ inches right here in the northern area of Medina County or Medina County. I always forget, I don't say it enough to pronounce it the right way. Uvalde County up on the northern side of it, 1.7 inches. And then also there's an area in Kinney County showing 2 inches. And then on south of the Rio Grande and westward through Mexico, some spots picking up 2 to 2.5 inches of rain. So that's pretty encouraging. Hopefully everyone can get in on at least a little bit of it. All right, so now let's head back to the weather computer. Laura says the supercells in Mexico always look so spectacular. They do, I agree. They look incredible. And then we watch and we wait and see if they can survive the trip all the way across the Rio Grande. And another thing that can sometimes be deceptive is there's some hilly terrain. They're called the Serranas del Barrios, I believe. My recollection of the exact name of the mountain range is bad, but there are some mountains, and a lot of times terrain can have a pretty big impact on storms as well. So anyway, there you have it as far as the storms that have already fallen. Now let's look ahead to what is yet to come. And so for that, we're going to work through and show you the high-res computer model. And current time is 12:31, so this is looking ahead to 1:31, about an hour from now. And this is indicating that the storms might be kind of right over the I-35 corridor from San Marcos up to Austin, in a weaker variety than where they are right now. Let's hope they don't intensify. The last thing people need is wind damage or bad hail, but rain is welcome, that's for sure. Then as we look ahead toward 2:30, pretty clear signal that everything is weakening and diminishing as we're heading toward the east and southeast by about 3:30 in the morning. Maybe some of you out in places like Smithville and Rosanke and Giddings might be getting in on some of that. And then as we head toward around 4:35, look at that. Might be another round of storms rolling right through the same areas. through Bexar County into San Antonio, and then pushing all the way toward the north and east as well. I am a little curious about that, so I'm going to zoom out just a little bit and we'll go back in time so I can kind of see. Yeah, it looks like they kind of evolve right over the same area southwest of San Antonio, and then they continue pulling eastward and toward the northeast as we head toward daybreak. So here is 8:30 in the morning, and I'll show you a closer in view of this as well. But in general, by 8:30 a.m., the latest high resolution, call it the HRRR computer model, the latest high resolution computer model is showing that there could be already some storms around daybreak through parts of Llano, Burnett, Williamson, on toward Milam counties already. Incidentally enough, there will be a cold front pushing through, and that will be kind of an instigator of more storms as we head into the afternoon hours. Rod, a well-watered Wednesday. Nice. Say hope all is well in Oklahoma. So the storms in Oklahoma thus far, I haven't checked in with them lately, but I haven't seen as many reports of too much in Oklahoma as of late. But I do know that there was a bad tornado that caused damage in Seminole, Oklahoma earlier. Jess says, now if you could talk to my dog, he doesn't like thunder. Oh, a lot of dogs don't like thunder. I wish I could help you with that one. Colby, checking in from YouTube. What's going on? Thanks for checking in. I just heard thunder over my head here in North Austin. All right, so let's take another look at Oklahoma. They are still getting the flash flood threat. Looks like the biggest thing now, with those darker red boxes corresponding to flash flood warnings. So perfect timing for that question from Rod. So obviously we see the storms that are moving through, like heading through Blanco County, heading through Bexar County down in San Antonio, and then the lighter rain for everyone else. I've indicated the area of low pressure, which is basically the upper level system. Yes, that's actually snow in the Rockies. And this spin in the atmosphere right here is going to push eastward tomorrow, as in Thursday. And that will basically be the instigator for yet another round of storms. But let's go ahead and check here and now and see where things stand. So we've got a pretty good line of storms that are under severe thunderstorm warnings from Seminole, which is where the tornado hit earlier, eastward to Muskogee, and all the way toward Fayetteville, Arkansas right now as well. So within the orange shaded areas, those are severe thunderstorm warnings. The dark red, those are flash flood warnings. And the bright green, those are flood advisories. So there is a lot going on there, that's for sure. I'm curious. I'm going to check in and see what the storm total precip has been for these areas. Let's go ahead and look at the last 6 hours of rainfall for Oklahoma. Ooh, whoa, did you guys see that? Check that out. Okay, I'm going to query this. Near Okmulgee, 8 inches of rain. Goodness gracious. Okay, so that's going to cause some significant flooding for those folks there in Oklahoma. This is south of Tulsa. 8 inches of rain in the last 6 hours. No wonder they're under flash flood warnings. What is going on there is that they're having what's called training rain. Not a good thing. So Colby's asking if Georgetown could get bad rain. We'll take a look. I want to look at the latest computer model along with you all before I make judgment on this. Also wanted to let you know that this is the Thursday severe weather risk because we're doing this after midnight. As many of you know, the maps will automatically push to the next day once we hit 12:01, even if I say it's not technically time yet. So this is the Thursday severe weather risk. See what I did there? I automatically plotted this. So the Storm Prediction Center will actually come out with a new map similar to this once they've looked at all the latest data. And it usually comes out around now-ish. So we should get some updates soon. I'm going to pull my Twitter up just to see if it's issued while we're talking. And if it is, we can discuss at that point. But this is based on what was issued on Wednesday night, which is that Austin, Bastrop, LaGrange, Llano, Mason, Fredericksburg, Blanco, San Marcos, and Lockhart and Luling are all in a level 1 severe weather threat for Thursday. That means isolated severe thunderstorms are possible. Now, Burnett, Round Rock, Lexington, Lincoln, Rockdale, Thorndale, all in a level 2. That means scattered severe thunderstorms possible. And the northernmost areas of Milam County, as well as areas like Colleen in Bell County, are in a level 3 out of 5 enhanced risk. So yeah, I would be prepared at the very least in Georgetown, for instance, you're in a level 2 threat, for perhaps some heavy rain, storms, hail, high winds. Those are going to be your highest threats. I will show you the potential threat issues in just a second, but first let me go ahead and show you the hour-by-hour forecast. Laura says, hope the threat remains enhanced for Thursday, no more moderate. I know moderate is no fun, that is for sure. We see moderate and we automatically revert to worries about significant tornado risk. So here we stand. Oh, and just to let you know, the National Weather Service just put out a strong winds developing in Milam County through 1:30 in the morning for winds up to 55 miles per hour. So it's not a severe thunderstorm warning, but it is a strong winds possible due to decaying thunderstorm statement. Let me show you what that is, just so you kind of have an idea. And this was just issued just now from the National Weather Service up in Fort Worth. And because of the fact that this line of storms that's pushing basically from west to east may be able to generate some sub-severe winds that might be enough to cause some minor damage. So this is the special weather statement. It says, strong winds were observed at Gatesville and Waco airports. And obviously all of this is pushing to the east. So in anticipation of this, they put out the special weather statement saying gusty winds could knock down tree limbs and blow around unsecured objects. So this does include Hearn and Cameron and Rockdale and adjacent areas of Milam County. And frankly, you can imagine much the same will be possible with gusty winds elsewhere as well. So just a heads up, that just came through. Wanted to make sure that you were aware of it. Okay, now let's look ahead to the tornado threat, the hail threat, and the wind threat from the Storm Prediction Center, keeping in mind the possibility that we might not even see the latest Storm Prediction Center outlook be exactly this way. It could be somewhat adjusted, and that typically does happen as we get closer, as more information is available, the Storm Prediction Center will tweak said forecast. So the forecast as of Wednesday evening was for a 2% risk of isolated tornadoes north and east of Austin, a 15% risk of hail in the areas shaded in yellow, 5% for Austin, and a 15% risk of strong gusty winds. Note this little tiny bit of red here, that corresponds to a 30% risk. So just to clarify, this is not Friday. Remember, it's after midnight. I need to always find that first before I let you guys look at it. This is for Thursday. Got it? Get it? Good. Okay. So now let's take a look at the hour-by-hour forecast. And if anything else pops up with what's going on currently, I'm keeping an eye on Twitter so that anything that pops up, I will bring right back to you so that you can see the latest. But yeah, the latest thing so far is strong gusty winds. Waco Regional Airport at 12:29. Right now it's 12:41. Reported a wind gust of 47 miles per hour. Also in San Antonio, remember we were looking at the potential of hail there in Bexar County? San Antonio reports a hail of penny size that was at 12:25 a.m. So that was 6 miles southeast of San Antonio. We have a report of a gust of 60 miles per hour. So yeah, Bexar County getting in on some of that nasty wind and hail. Also, for folks in San Antonio, the National Weather Service has just issued a flood advisory. That's in effect until 4 a.m. Did you guys hear that? Thunder again. So 4 a.m. wind advisory, or not wind advisory, flood advisory for Bexar County, including Metro San Antonio. All right, here is a look at your forecast for Thursday. And thankfully, this map doesn't show Friday, so I don't have to change the Thursdays on everything. It says Thursday, and it means Thursday. So temperatures in the morning in the 70s, climbing into the mid-80s in the afternoon, and then as soon as the heavy storms push through, I think we'll drop into the upper 70s. So just plan on a day where you've got your CBS Austin radar app handy, or whatever radar app might be your favorite. I don't know if you see this one. This is my phone on radar scope, which I'm kind of monitoring at the same time as we're watching too. So make sure you've got a way to get watches, warnings, and advisories. Obviously, if you're following me on social media, both my Twitter and my Facebook accounts, anytime that there is a warning issued, automatically it will post for you so you can see it there. But I always feel like just saying, instead of being scared, be prepared, be empowered, and be aware. And one of the easiest ways to do that is to have a radar app on your phone. It's brilliant and great. Let's see, Llano County reporting 39 mile per hour wind gusts just now. Let's see. That appears to be the latest and greatest. There was an earlier report out in Kinney County that was from 8:43 of the evening. It was quite a while ago, of a gust of 70 miles per hour. Also worth noting, it does look like there is a power line that has gone down in the Navarro Street in Llano. So that may be in conjunction with the stronger winds. 39 mile per hour wind isn't typically high enough to cause a power line to go down, but you never know. Maybe it hit a tree branch and maybe the tree branch, came down on a line, maybe something like that. But either way, there could be some power outages possible as a result of some of this wind that is currently going through. So just a heads up for that. Okay. So we've got our forecast figured out for Thursday. It's going to be cooler. We hit 92 degrees on Wednesday, so not nearly as warm. And then we will also have the storm chances. I'm going to go ahead and back this up a little bit so we can get the full overnight time frame. And just to confirm for you, let's push it to actual Thursday. This is the HER computer model, high resolution computer model, and it actually is correct with the date and the time. You can find it up in the top, or you can find it right here and just follow along. So computer models, I always say, are not gospel. They're just guidance. They're just kind of giving you a suggestion. Colby says, thank you. You're very welcome. Bad lightning. Yeah, definitely a lot of lightning out there. I can attest. One of the beautiful things about, looking at radar scope is I'm like, oh yeah, there's a lot of lightning considering it's not very heavy rain. There's quite a bit of lightning going on. Bill, hello. Thank you for checking in at dark 30, actually 12:45 in the AM. So yeah, computer models are not gospel, but they give you a good idea of what might possibly develop. So roughly around 4 AM, we may see some more storms roll on in, kind of the same track from southwest to northeast. As we wake up in the morning, there may still be some ongoing rain through portions of, say, Lee County, and it may be somewhat quiet for folks up toward Mason, Llano, Burnett, even Williamson County. Then as we advance through time, I'm going to go back just a little bit, there could be a few storms that try to pop up somewhere in the 8, 9, 10 o'clock time frame through the hill country. And then we watch, in this instance, it looks like the heaviest storms might actually be just to the north. I'm going to go ahead and pull this down a little bit so you can see. Potentially by about midday, widen it way out. Look at that. Big time line of storms that might possibly develop and fire. And worth noting, anytime you see, even if it's just on a radar projection, anytime you see these big fuchsia areas, those are typically big hail cores. Another thing to note is, even though this is generally a line of storms, anytime you have storms that have little appendages or little notches, even though it's a general line of storms, any of these things could potentially have little tiny vortices or spin-ups or rotation areas in them. So we'll have to watch very closely if any of these do develop farther south into our area, because they might possibly bring a minor spin-up or, again, the hail and the wind threats as well. So that takes us through about lunchtime. Let's continue on, shall we? Here we go to 3 p.m. And what's interesting to note is it does almost look like the southernmost areas don't seem to get as much as the northernmost areas. In addition, if you look at the winds, there's a boundary right about in here. What gives? Well, there's actually going to be a cold front pushing through. It probably won't make it all the way through our area. So in advance of the front, we're going to have southerly winds. Behind it, we're going to have northerly winds. And typically, what we need in order to have storms is we need moisture, which goodness it's soupy out there and we're going to have dew points in the 70s, so that's not a question. We need instability, which there will be ample instability, and we also need a trigger, lift, something that's going to cause rising air. So in the instance of today, the lift was provided by a dry line way out in West Texas. Or for Oklahoma and the Panhandle, those storms were because of a warm front moving through. So tomorrow we're actually going to have a cold front pushing through, and that cold front could be the trigger that provides the lift. So then we'd have the ingredients for storms: moisture, lift, and instability, which could then in turn mean possibility of some strong to severe thunderstorms. Now, if you also have a good amount of wind shear, which means winds either turning with height or with speed increasing, then you could also have rotating storms. So the tornado threat is very low, but cannot be ignored. And as we've seen earlier this season, even on days when you don't think it'll be too bad, Florence to Salado happens, right? Okay, so let's continue onward. We've made it to 3 p.m. on this computer model. There are storms that are pushing through the Hill Country, Williamson, and Milam counties. By about 4 o'clock, they start to drop a little farther to the south. I also am noting that this particular computer model is indicating a good number of what could be nasty hailers, something to keep in mind. Then as we continue on towards 6 p.m., the storms are finally pushing through Travis County. So just keep in mind, if this all works according to plan, it could be kind of a bad thing if we've got rain pulling through our area during the rush hour. Something to keep in mind. Those of you that are east toward Bastrop, toward Giddings, and even into Fayette County, you may see your best rain chances come in the evening hours. And then by about 8 o'clock, everything wraps up and all the storms continue pushing off toward the Houston area as we dry out. So that's kind of where things stand as of now, computer model wise. Worth noting, rain totals could vary quite a bit. Tony's asking if the area of potential risk for Salado. In the Salado area, you are on the cusp of the level 2 of 5 risk for Thursday, but just to your north, farther north into Bell County, is the level 3 risk. So yes, Tony, I would be prepared for the potential of seeing some severe thunderstorms, and I hope for your sake that it is not anything worse than hail and high winds. We do not want you to have a repeat of what happened earlier in April. So here's a look at potential rainfall totals. Again, it's not gospel, it's just a guess, but perhaps areas into eastern Williamson County, places like Granger, on toward places like Rockdale, might have a shot at seeing 2 to 3 inches of rain, which would be great, relief for our dry conditions. And silly enough, isn't this crazy? It's showing Fredericksburg only getting 0.07 inches, which they definitely need more than that. So just take it with somewhat of a grain of salt. Here are 2 other computer model comparisons just for your info, if nothing else. The GFS computer model generally has everybody underneath an inch. The European computer model has Mason and Llano over an inch of rain, also LaGrange. And it does look like some pockets here that, are purples, which would be indicative of 1.5 inches, 1.75 inches. But neither of these is anywhere near as heavy as that previous one I showed you that had 3 inches up into Milam County. So take it for what it is. Now let's look ahead to Friday, because you know what? After our weather alert day on Thursday, it's just all about the heat. The heat and the humidity. Kevin, how you doing? So Skipper and Ewok, I hope, are snug as a bug in a rug at home. As you can see, the Skippy cam has been replaced with the studio cam. I didn't quite know what to do with it because I'm really enjoying having the 2 camera look. And I'm like, well, I don't have a dog to share with you, so you can look at the empty studio instead. Let's see, Rod says 2.9 in Rockdale is in the Chrisman area is interesting. Interesting indeed, which also would, I have a hunch areas north and east are probably going to see more, not only rain, but more potent storms. So be ready, Rod. You're right there near Milam County, I know. All right, so next up, let's look at Friday. We'll go hour by hour, and this is not nearly as exciting as storm tracking, but it does look like it could be significant heat, even as early as Friday. Look at this, 97 Mason, 98 Llano. I went ahead and went with a high temperature of 96 in Austin. I have no idea why this computer model is so much cooler for Georgetown. It's only 88, and so much cooler for Rockdale. But in general, we're going to start to get winds out of the southwest on Friday, and that is going to send temperatures soaring. The record high on Friday, I believe, is 99. Let me double check. I don't want to lie to you. 99 set back in 1984. So we're not going to see a record on Friday. However, I think we could see a record on Sunday as well as Monday. Sue says your little dog is in the closet. Oh, and the big one's trying to curl up on top of me. I know so many people who have pets that whenever there's thunder, they just cower, and so I hope that all of your little pets are weathering this storm as well as they can. Again, it's just rain and lightning for most of our area. There's a nastier storm that is now making its way out of Schertz and Garden Ridge, which those of you who drive I-35 between Austin and San Antonio, Garden Ridge is right there on the northeast side of San Antonio, just outside the 1604 loop, moving toward New Braunfels. So there's a storm that's not severe, but it does have quite a bit of lightning, and it is over New Braunfels. So look for that to be moving toward Kingsbury, Fentress, Redwood, and San Marcos before too long. And that storm that was over Blanco earlier that looked somewhat, potent, has really weakened as it's headed off toward the west, or toward the north and east. So that storm that had been over Blanco is now just around Dripping Springs, heading up toward Lakeway, and it doesn't have much lightning with it. So at this point, the one that's the strongest is over New Braunfels. Okay, so Laura says definitely going to the pool on Friday. I say it should be a pool weekend, right? Look at this. Okay, I will tell you, I mowed the lawn Wednesday, as in like before I came to work today, Wednesday. And I did that with the idea being, okay, no yard work this weekend. It's going to be too hot. So yeah, the record for Sunday is 99. I'm forecasting 101. By the way, happy early Mother's Day to all the moms on Sunday. It's going to be hot. And then Monday, the record is 99. I think we could get there. I mean, this is going to be a heat wave, record territory. So there you go, your weekend. Saturday, if we hit 100, it'll be the hottest since September 20th. It will also be the earliest first triple-digit day for a given year since 1998, and it will tie with 1998 for the second earliest first 100. Isn't that a crazy stat? So anyway, if you were to look at all the years and say, when's the first day we hit 100? We could tie for second earliest if we get there on Saturday. Then on Sunday, the record is 1967, 99 degrees. I'm forecasting 101. Hello. Toasty indeed. All right, rainfall potential. One more look. This is yet another opinion. Given what we talked about earlier with Milam County potentially seeing the heaviest. Oh, I went a little too far there. With Milam County potentially seeing some of the heaviest. The Weather Prediction Center seems to agree. It's giving 1.25 inches to areas of eastern Milam County and giving a solid 3/4 inch to areas near the western part of Milam. And as you can see, it's not being nearly as generous to folks in Fayette County, where there are actually some pockets potentially that may end up like with only 1/10 inch or so of rainfall, and maybe some areas seeing less than 1/10 inch in eastern parts of Fayette County. So we'll see how things go. Another thing that I might recommend, if you guys are interested, I actually have an app that will alert me when there are lightning strikes in the area. So I just looked over at my phone. It was like, lightning strikes in your area in the next 15 minutes. And I'm like, yep, I know. But it's always good to get that alert, especially like if you're not out looking at the weather, if you're not at home and don't have it handy. Having an app that just notifies you when there's bad weather around, it's fabulous. So highly recommend it. Charlie Morris, it's been a while. How are you? You say good night. You are very welcome. My pleasure. Thanks for staying up late. Lindsay says, where was the wind statement again? So it is for Milam County, but it really kind of applies to all of our area, just because there have been some gusty winds. I'll show it to you one more time. So it came out at, let's see, 12:35 is when it was issued by the National Weather Service in Fort Worth. And just so you know, the National Weather Service office that covers Austin is located in New Braunfels. But for the CBS Austin area, there are 2 counties that are not included in the National Weather Service New Braunfels kind of like area, Austin, San Antonio area. Mason County to the north and west is actually governed by the National Weather Service office in San Angelo. Milam County to the northeast is governed by the National Weather Service in Fort Worth. So in this instance, they issued a statement based on some gusty wind reports they got out of Waco and said, hey, heads up, there could be some nasty, strong gusty winds. That said, since this statement came out, which does include Milam County, for potential of winds up to 50 to 55. There was a report that came out for Llano, which obviously isn't included in this, but you get the idea. It's with the same system pushing through, of 39-mile-per-hour winds, but included within that was the report of power lines down. So hope that helps you out. But that came out at 12:35 a.m. Current time is 12:58 in the a.m. Woohoo! National Weather Service just issued the latest update for the storms. You guys want to see it? Let's pull it up right now. This is what we were all waiting for. You never know when they're going to issue. Sometimes it's as early as 12:30. It varies, but okay, they just now issued the latest day one outlook for our area. And drum roll please, they have now pushed the level 2 severe weather threat southward to include Austin. So if you were watching earlier, the level 2 line used to be right about here. And what they have done is the National Weather Service, the Storm Prediction Center, has expanded and extended that level 2 out of 5 severe thunderstorm threat to include the Austin metro. In addition, we do still have this sliver of level 3 risk. I'll take the highlight off so you can see. I know there was a question from Tony in Salado asking, what level am I in? And I believe you are still, you are officially just barely in that level 3 risk. So Gerald is a level 2 out of 5, but Salado is a level 3 out of 5. So I hope that helps you out as far as knowing kind of what we've got ahead as we look toward Thursday. So this is hot off the presses. I'm going to go ahead and retweet it for everybody that's up late. And just as a refresher, there are 5 levels, and of those 5, you can basically disregard everything that's here, which is in the level 0, which basically means, yeah, you can have a thunderstorm, but typically if you're in that level 0 threat, it is not expected to be severe. So I'm actually going to go to my map that has the level 0 part taken out so it doesn't distract from any of the other levels. So we can just isolate only the severe weather risks. So again, we'll zoom in a little bit more closely so you can see the areas that are under each risk. So we've got the level 1, which is now pushed through Mason, Llano, Fredericksburg, Blanco, San Marcos, Lockhart, Luling, Smithville, Rosanke, and LaGrange. We've got the level 2 risk, which now includes Austin, as well as Round Rock, Burnett, Georgetown, Lexington, Lincoln, Bastrop, Giddings, and Rockdale. And then we have the level 3 risk, which basically includes the northern half of Milam County, Bell County, and points north and east. Now let's go through and do a review of what those levels exactly mean. So a level 1 means isolated severe thunderstorms are possible. A level 2, whoops, that was really tiny. Hello, that was really tiny. There we go. A level 2 means scattered storms are possible. I was like, nobody's going to be able to read that. That's way too small. Scattered severe thunderstorms possible. And a level 3 means numerous severe thunderstorms are possible. So we find ourselves now with all 3 levels, and that level 2 risk has been expanded. Danny says, bring it on, ready to get wet, needed in Round Rock. Yeah, I say as long as you're prepared to stay indoors when thunder roars, as long as if for some reason we have a storm that decides to go tornado on us, as long as you're ready to go to that safe place in the interior of your home or business, away from any windows, I mean, as long as you're prepared, like, bring it. Obviously, though, something tells me that no one's probably interested in having a windshield that looks like this, right? So let's hope it's not too bad. All right, Laura says, well, at least they didn't upgrade it to moderate yet, which is a very true statement that sometimes the Storm Prediction Center, as we get closer, will up the threat. So thus far, we have not been put into a moderate range, but let's say, what is moderate? What does that mean? Just for comparison's sake, if for some reason we were pushed into a level 4, that means widespread severe thunderstorms are likely, including long-lived, widespread, and intense storms. So anytime we get put into a moderate risk, typically that is usually governed by a heightened tornado threat. Oh, and you know what? Now that the latest Storm Prediction Center outlook is in, we can go through and look at the individual tornado threats. Shall we do that? I say we should. Okay, let me go ahead and first save this so I don't forget it. And now let's go and look at the individual threats with these storms. And I should also say, soon enough, I think it's pretty safe to say that we're not going to be dealing with severe weather. I'm watching that new Rainfall cell and it's continuing to weaken. So, as it pushes to the northeast. And the previous heavy storm that was over Blanco it's Blanco County, you're totally clear now. And the showers and storms that were part of that are no big deal, just lightning and some like lighter to moderate rainfall. But I have seen some pictures on social media of some pretty fantastic lightning. In fact, I'm going to retweet one of them. Lighting, if I can spell. Okay, there we go. So if you guys go to my Twitter page, you will see I just retweeted Travis County Severe Weather's lightning photo. Okay, so let's look at the individual threats with this as we head through your Thursday. First, let's take a look at the tornado threat and see how it has been adjusted. And now, remember, if we were looking at before this latest update, Austin earlier was not in the tornado threat zone. That has changed. Austin is now in the 2% tornado threat zone. And areas to the north and east are now in a 5% tornado risk zone. So that is a significant change from earlier. So Austin, 2%. Areas to the north and east, 5%. So those are your tornado outlook threats. Now let's take a look at the wind and the hail threats. So, I have all these lovely thumbnails saved and I just have to find the right ones. One of these days I'll do some house cleaning so I can actually, find all these things a little bit more quickly. So damaging wind outlook, unfortunately, areas in Milam County, that is a 30% risk for you. So a 30% risk of damaging winds, which is significant. So I would be prepared if you have anything that could get damaged, like a car that sits out in a parking lot or something. If you're able to get it in a garage, might be a good idea for both hail as well as wind threats. So it's a 30% threat of high winds in the areas in red. Austin has now been increased into a 15% risk of severe wind, and that would be winds greater than 58 miles per hour, which is basically winds high enough to cause power outages and tree down and that kind of thing. And then a 5% risk as you head down farther south. That includes San Marcos and Blanco and Fredericksburg. So that is your wind outlook. Last but not least, let's take a look at the hail outlook. And for hail, the good news is we do not have a 30% hail risk. So what that tells me is those areas that are in the level 3 enhanced risk of severe thunderstorms in Milam County and in Bell County, that is not because of hail, that is because of high wind. So within the hail, and thank goodness we don't have any of this hatched. Remember how sometimes we'll see those hatch marks, the little stripes like this? That means you're going to have potential of hail that's larger than 2 inches in diameter. Thank goodness that is not happening and not highlighted thus far from the Storm Prediction Center. So the way this lines up is in yellow, it's a 15% risk, and in brown, that is a 5% risk of seeing damaging hail. Damaging hail is defined as quarter size or greater. That would be 1 inch in diameter or greater for your hail size. So, I mean, you guys pretty much have the lay of the land of what to expect. I am hearing more thunder above me, which makes me say, let's check in on radar again. It's been a hot minute since we have. Also, I'm going to go ahead and pull up our tower cam, see if maybe we can spot some of the lightning while we're watching. Wouldn't that be fun to watch lightning while we're doing the Facebook live chat? So I'll just keep it up for a bit while I answer any additional questions. Carissa was asking about Waco. I believe Waco is in the level 3 risk because it was a little farther north of, you know, and the only thing I'm not sure about is the eastward extent of it. But I can check for you. Thanks for asking. Sorry, I didn't see earlier. So thus far, I'm not seeing any lightning showing up on our camera. That could change. All right, let me go back to those risk levels and I'll check in on Waco. It's true, a lot of you probably also have family and friends to the north and east, so we want to make sure that everyone is aware of the setup for them as well. Okay, so I'm going to load back up the Storm Prediction Center Outlook. Bob Sloan, what's up, what's up? Tony says, what's the anticipated time frame? For Salado area, it could be in the early afternoon or midday hours, based on the high-res computer model I was looking at just a second ago. Oh, how weird is that? Oh, this is the level, this is the day 2 threat. I was like, the map has changed. Hold on, bear with me. I just clicked on the wrong thing. Okay, so here we go. Waco is indeed included in the level 3 risk. So 3 of 5 from Salado to Temple to Waco. Once you head to DFW, it is a level 2 risk for Dallas, but a level 1 risk for the northwest side of Fort Worth. And then level 3 risk extends all the way through Little Rock, Arkansas, Texarkana, northwest sections of Louisiana, including Shreveport, Lufkin, Tyler. All of these are included in the level 3 risk, and it is basically driven by the fact that the damaging wind risk is the highest in these areas. So there you have it. All right. So Carissa got what she wanted. Let's go back and look at the radar one more time. And I'm pleased to say, as of now, it looks like the storms are not going to be causing us any headaches in terms of severe weather impacts. So let me go ahead and show you radar one more time. And then I think I'm going to wind down. You know why? You know what happens at 1 a.m. Shift change. And just to let you guys know, okay, first let's check in on Oklahoma, again, where they had the crazy rain. There's still a couple severe thunderstorm warnings up there. Ooh, this stuff looks pretty nasty around Lawton. Look at these storms. Super, super nasty. Okay, now let's head back down our neck of the woods so we can check in on our situation. And I'm pretty confident that we're not going to get anything severe out of this. So just a reminder, those in Bayer County, this is a flood advisory because of the heavy rain you saw push through earlier. Now we're going to take a look at the storms. Heaviest over New Braunfels. The pink boxes, that's the severe thunderstorm watch until 2 a.m. for Blanco and Hays counties. But given the fact that this batch of storms has bypassed those areas, I think that the severe thunderstorm watch is probably either going to be canceled or just once it runs out, it won't be extended, just based on what I'm looking at. So still a decent amount of lightning. Let me go ahead and put it in stop mode, and then I'll query the lightning just so we can get a number. Majority of the lightning strikes are originating from that storm in Comal County, just east of New Braunfels. It looks like 68 lightning strikes, which is considerably less than earlier when we checked in. There were, 100 and something that were over Blanco County, and there were 400 and something that were over the San Antonio area earlier. So clearly these storms have started to weaken, which I think if we can get some rain without having anything severe, that's the way to do it. But as you can see, east of New Braunfels, and now heading to near San Marcos, and eventually toward Maxwell and into areas of Caldwell County, you're going to see at least some more moderate rainfall. Let me go ahead and query the rainfall rate within some of these reds. So this is showing about 3/4 of an inch per hour, as opposed to what the majority of our area is seeing, which is the lighter rain, which is generally like 1/10 of an inch per hour or less. Pockets of yellow correspond to about a ½ inch per hour. So in general, the lightning is probably the most noticeable thing for people, but the rain amounts are probably not exactly astounding anyone. Let's check in. I'm curious to see what some of the LCRA gauges might be showing. So let me check. This is from the LCRA over the last 6 hours. Hey, it's better than nothing, right? As we zoom into Travis County, looks like about 9/100ths of an inch right near the Pennybacker Bridge, the 360 overlook. Not too far from Bee Cave, about 6/100ths of an inch, 13/100ths of an inch. As you head a little bit closer to Hamilton Pool area, right around 13/100ths of an inch. So yeah, not exactly astounding, but yeah, better than nothing at all. Obviously, that storm that has since dissipated or weakened considerably, that was over the Blanco area, did drop some locally heavier rain. I'm going to check and see what this, when I query that spot just east of Blanco, 0.9 inches, not too shabby. And then areas that are under the flood advisory in San Antonio got quite a bit more rainfall, which is why the flood advisory was put into effect. Let's query this little spot, and it's showing 2.3 inches of rain. Anyone who knows anything about San Antonio knows it is very flashy. It is such a flash flood spot. So if they get 2 inches quickly, boom, flooding happens, which is likely why that flood advisory is in effect. All right. I think that's a wrap. And in fact, the National Weather Service, just for kicks, we will take a look at their latest update as well, which, let me see, open video in new tab. They are showing pretty much the same thing that I was with a loop. This is from the National Weather Service, and let me go ahead and put it into motion again. There you go. That cell that was over the New Braunfels area is weakening as it continues to push off toward the north and east. And accompanying this video, the National Weather Service says storms continue to slowly weaken. The threat for hail has decreased. However, strong downdraft winds will be possible. Also, a pressure gradient in the wake of the departing storms could generate some gusty winds over the Highway 281 and I-35 corridors. Oh, you know what? Let's check in on winds real quick, and then I will call it a night. Curious to see if any of these localized gustier winds are actually showing up on the observations. So let's take a look at peak gusts first. Purples, that's some strong winds there. Oh yeah, there have been some decent little wind gusts. 33 in Burnett, 31 in Horseshoe Bay, 33 in Llano, 30 in Fredericksburg. Now let's take a look at the current wind gusts. It's so funny. Apparently, winds are pretty much calm over Austin, but there's a gust up to 33 miles per hour in Burnett. Absolutely calm in Giddings and LaGrange. Obviously, it's because that weather system hasn't quite pushed all the way eastward, but it will be. Rhonda says, gonna get gotten quiet here again. Still have your scared dog. Oh, poor guy or gal. Sally says, hey, you're very welcome. My pleasure. Floor, how you doing? I'm just about hopping off. The coast is appearing to be clear, so I'm gonna call it a night. Floor says Baylor, Scott, and White on 290 in Mopac having bad wind. Ah, thank you for the heads up. Yeah, I have a hunch areas that are kind of like watching this storm system depart are getting some gusty winds briefly, which is certainly a concern, but probably kind of low end, not enough to cause much, if any, damage, I hope. I nearly yawned. I don't want to make anybody else sleepy. Lackland Air Force Base, that's in Bexar County, San Antonio, had a thunderstorm wind gust of 59 miles per hour. That was reported at 12:15 in the morning. So, from Kelly Air Force Base. And it looks as though that is pretty much it. So because of the fact that the rain has shifted east, I think that the severe weather watch that's in effect for Blanco and Hays County is there basically just as a moot point. I don't think we're going to have any issues with it whatsoever. Let's see. Rick says rain in Cedar Park. Yep, enjoy it. Sally says Lago Vista has had some high winds. I bet so. I think they're starting to increase as the rain is moving on out. All right, you guys, have a good one. Stay safe. And just to let you know, I am actually off tomorrow, as in Thursday. I have something that I have to do with my daughter. And incidentally enough, it occurred to me, I was kind of like, of all the days to finally have a day off, because you guys know I didn't have days off forever whenever we were in the in-between where we were short-staffed and everything else. Lo and behold, I'm going to be off, and it's going to be a potential severe weather day. So I'm struggling. I'm like literally struggling. If there are storms, do I say, no, it's my day off? Or do I say, okay, fine, and hop on? So anyway, you know that even if I am not actively watching the weather, that my Facebook and my Twitter will notify you of any warnings that are issued and all that good stuff. And you've got Austin Burks, our new weekend meteorologist, and of course Avery Tomasco, who will keep you in the know with every step of the way of all the storms that push through. So my hope is that we get beneficial rain, that we miss the worst of the storms, but I also think it's also very important to be prepared just in case. With that said, have an awesome evening, night, morning. I know it's like 1 in the morning. Thanks as always for staying up late. I'm missing the boys. I wish I could give them like cuddles and hugs. So used to have an Ewok and Skipper here, but yeah, I decided to stick around work just in case, because at the time, like right after the newscast, that nasty storm over to the west of San Antonio, I just was getting these, sometimes you have this premonition where you're like, if I don't stay here, there's going to be a huge storm that's going to cause big problems. So anyway, I decided, I was like, nope, just babysit radar just to be on the safe side. So obviously Murphy's Law is, because I was here and ready, nothing happened. But had I gone, then it would have gotten bad, inevitably, right? Flora, thank you. You too. Happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. Colby, have a good night. Thank you as always for checking in. And Bob, you are very welcome. So everybody else who's watching, thanks for checking in. Be safe. Talk to y'all later. And for those of you who have pooches who just won't get settled because of the thunder, it looks like areas west in the hill country are done with any of the rain or lightning, and it's eventually going to be just pushing off toward the east. Keeping in mind there may be another round that rolls in here sometime in the early morning hours before sunrise. All right, that is a wrap. As always, you can check in on cbsaustin.com. We've got interactive radar and all that good stuff. And the forecast. And you guys know I love to write my novels, so you can read my whole novel. And have a great night. Take care, you guys.